What is going on, Panther Lair? We are back talking about the Pittsburgh Panthers victory over the Eastern Kentucky Colonels this past Wednesday at home. Now, I want to go into something that I have not really broken out at all this season, and that is taking a look at rebounding. I think there's a lot of Pitt fans out there that are wondering why the Panthers front court, particularly Cam Corrin and Guillermo Diaz-Graham, why they don't rebound the ball a little bit better. And I thought I was going to kind of play this off of something that I also put out on X during the game, and that is the fact that I thought that Papa Conti, in the 8 minutes he was on the floor, played really well, and I think a large part of that was because he was very assertive against a very small Eastern Kentucky front court. So we're going to look at 4 sequences here, dive in, see if we can come to any conclusions. So this is going to be about 5 minutes into the game. Quick shout out to Zach Austin here, who did a really good job on Blanton. There's a reason you did not hear this guy's name called very much. Austin was a big reason why. He's going to force him into a contested leaner here in the paint. And I'm going to freeze it right here because I just want to make a quick note for the purposes of all these sequences that Guillermo Diaz-Graham is listed at 7 foot tall, 225 pounds. Cam Corrin is listed at 6'10", 235 pounds, and Montavious Merrick is listed at 6'8", 208 pounds. So the Pitt front court is pretty much bigger in all of these instances. Now, in this still shot, you would think that Guillermo is going to have a free run at this, because if Corrin plays Merrick neutral and Austin turns around and boxes out Blanton, that he's going to have a run at this. Now, the ball does bounce off the right side of the rim, but Corrin is going to put his hands into the back of Merrick here, and you're going to watch that even though he gets kind of pushed under the basket, that Merrick is going to out-time and out-jump both Guillermo and Corrin here to get this tip in, which kind of seems just not possible. Now, we're going to look at this individually. So Corrin first. Corrin is an athlete. He's definitely the best roll target that Pitt has ever had under Capel. And he relies on his athleticism quite a bit to get rebounds. He's going to jump here with Austin to try to get this. So you see kind of like back up and then come in to time this. And he does come up with this rebound, but Corrin never seems to secure rebounds cleanly. They look overly difficult for him. And he gets this kind of swatted away just because he doesn't really have a tight grip here. And if Austin's not standing here, this is an offensive rebound again for the Colonels. So just something that I think is weird, that he's always seems to be making rebounding look harder than it should be. And then I kept this clip in here because one of the reasons I think the Panthers were really able to pull away from Eastern Kentucky, particularly in the second half, is because Jalen Lowe and Ishmael Leggett got downhill in transition and got to the rim against a pretty small back line here in transition. So I wanted to keep this in. I don't know if this is going to make likes or dislikes, so I thought I would add that here. Now, see again, Austin's going to force Blanton into this just right away contested, like straight away contested jumper. Again, good job by Austin. And so right here, Guillermo should have inside position. He should be able to establish an inside position on Merrick to be able to get this defensive rebound. Instead, so here they're jostling. Keep in mind, Guillermo is both 4 inches taller and roughly 15 pounds heavier. Just gets kind of blown out of the way here. So not enough here. The ref is clearly looking at this. Not enough contact to call an offensive foul, but this is just a reality of how Guillermo is. And he gets completely pushed out of the way, and Merrick, who is both shorter and lighter, gets an offensive rebound and a putback. So not ideal. So in the case of Corrin, a lot of it is technique and just not really securing it well. For Guillermo, it's something that we've known for a long time, and he's just kind of like, real thin and gets pushed out of the way quite easily. If there's a really tight whistle, he might be able to get a lot of calls. But if they let him play loose, then this can be what happens a lot. And I think, it just depends how that's going to go. Now, I told you about the Papa Conti clip earlier, or, that I put out on X, and a lot of that is because here, if you look at his technique, what makes it different is he both gets lower body and then some upper body contact as he's jostling here. So even though Conti's not going to get this rebound, he's absolutely going to make sure that Merrick does not either. And when you look at the amount of teammates he has here, so Ishmael Leggett, Amsel Delilich, like he's going to make sure that one of these two guys are the only two guys jumping for this rebound. And you'll see Delilich is getting it here. I think this might lend a little bit to his technique. I mean, if you look at all 3 of their defensive rebounding numbers, Guillermo's and Corrin's are pretty much the same that they've been over their careers. They're not the best they've been in their careers. And I think the reason they're putting up better numbers in terms of box score is just because they have more opportunity because they're on the floor a little bit longer. When you look at Conti, his total rebounding percentage at like 11.5% is in the middle of the two, but his offensive rebounding percentage is pretty much twice what those two are. And so I think in like the smallest of samples, and when you look at a clip like this, I think Conti does a really good job of seeking contact on the defensive end and allowing another person to get a defensive rebound. But on the offensive end, he is just out to get a rebound, right? To try to get a putback. Now you have to adjust a little bit to the minutes. You have to adjust a little bit to the type of competition that sometimes he's probably coming in for, particularly in an instance like this. But I think it like is interesting to kind of take a look at in this sample and say, hey, why is Conti successful here? And I think a lot of it is technique. There's only so much you can do when you're a light guy like Guillermo to get rebounds, but you'd like hope that if he's getting inside position, at the very least, he can keep his man from getting an offensive rebound. And for Corn, he just has to do a better job securing it. So, I mean, that's what I'm seeing here looking at the tape, and particularly this jumped out to me looking at the game on Wednesday. So I hope this was insightful for you guys as well.